You're in cosmetology school. Soon you will graduate. At some point, you might be a quarter way through. You might just be starting. You might be about to graduate. What next? That's a question that I want to answer for you, or at least give you some information about so that you can make an informed decision. There's a lot of different types of salons for you to work at. What are the differences in those salons? What information is out there about those salons? So I want to clear some of that up for you and at least give you as much information as possible so that you can make the best decision. Now, why do I bother, or why do I care, or why am I having this conversation with you? Well, first of all, I'm a salon owner. An owner of a chain of salons, 3 salons in Florida. We've been in business for 41 years. It's a family business going into its 3rd generation. I'm a beauty school dropout. I'm not a stylist. What qualifies me to have this conversation? Well, I've been in this business a long time. I've seen enough of the changes go through it. We have 3 successful salons. Our salons are ranked in the top 1%. We pay by salary. We pay a different way than most salons do. This conversation is not about what the right way or the best way is. I know our way, and I'll talk to you about those and that way. But here in this video, what I want to do is just give you as much information as possible so that you can make the best decision for yourself. Let me back up for just a second because I want to let you know why I'm doing this, why I have a self-interest in this. Many of you, in fact, 80% of you, in 5 years will not be in this business anymore. 80%. So that's 4 out of 5 won't be in the business. If you look around in your classroom, 4 people around you out of every 5 are not going to be in the business. It's a very sad statistic, and I hate to see it. I hate when I see somebody who I met at school in 5 years tending bar somewhere and not in the business, or doing something else and not what they invested their passion, their heart and soul into more than a year of their life, anywhere from $5,000, $10,000 to $25,000. And they're doing something else. They're not doing what their true passion is. Because of many reasons, but there's not a clear pathway to success in the business after cosmetology school. So first of all, what types of salons are there? And you may not know this from the outside because a salon is a salon. It's not going to advertise what type of salon that it is unless it's specifically named a salon suite, like a Phoenix Suites, a Sola Suites, a JC Suites, and there are other companies that have that on the branding of the name. Others are just named as a salon, and they rent out space within their salon, specific chairs. Maybe it's not a suite rental, but it's a chair rental. There are traditional commission salons. There are a salary plus commission salons. There are chair rental, booth rental, suite rental, and some people refer to them as 1099 salons, where there are independent people working within a salon. It doesn't look like it because you can't tell the difference, except that the owner is essentially a landlord. They're leasing space to each individual. So there's no corporation, there's no company that everyone works for. They all work for themselves. Now, there are specific tax implications and other issues regarding that, but that's for another conversation. For right now, I'm going to give you the breakdown of each of those and how that might affect you. The goal of this is for you to be able to make an informed decision of what's going to fit you best, because I think there's a place for every one of these salon types, for everyone. There's a place for you in the industry where you'll be the most successful. And no matter what your style is, you'll find the right home for you if you have the good information and you're informed about what it is that you're looking for and what's going to be best for you. So I want to start with one of the models that, because there's information on the web, if you go look up on most of the websites that advertise for space rental, to rent you space, a suite rental, or maybe some independent salons do it this way too, that are 1099 or contract employees. So that is not an employee. A 1099 doesn't mean you're an employee for some. If they 1099 is the number of the form that you get when you work in one of those spaces. So you are not paid a salary or a wage. You're getting paid, but it's up to you to handle your taxes and everything with the government and all of the expense side of it. The unemployment tax, the payroll tax, the federal income tax, the Medicare tax, and the Social Security tax. Those are up to you to handle when you're called a 1099 employee. So that might be in a situation where you work in what looks to be a salon, but technically you're renting a chair for anywhere from, that number could vary, depends on where you are in the world. Could be by the day, by the week, by the month, $100, $200, $300 a week, to a flat fee per month, to just per day or per hour charge. I think there are many ways that salons of this setup are doing it. So what they do is the money will come in, and maybe it comes in through a central location in a 1099 situation where there is a person up front who collects the money, and then you're either given cash out of the drawer at the end of the day for the total amount that that your guest brought in and paid the front desk. So at the end of the day, they give you your money, whatever that amount is. Now, out of that, if you are to go spend that money, and for example, if you get $100 and you're counting that as income, required to report the tax portion of that, which whatever the federal income tax would be, and whatever the 7.65% plus 1.45%, which is the Medicare portion, times 2, because when you're self-employed, which is what you are when you're 1099, you have to pay the matching portion of those taxes as well. So that's a little bit of a side note regarding what a 1099 is, or if you hear that term, you're a subcontractor. Essentially, in that situation, legally, you can set your own hours, set your own time, dress any way you want. They're not legally allowed to tell you what to do or how to do it because you are on your own. You are self-employed. Now, many business owners aren't 100% clear about that, so it happens a lot where they will say, listen, I need you here by this time, and you need to work this many hours, and you need to be open this many hours, and you need to wear this, and you need to look a certain way. But if you're a 1099 employee, technically, according to the IRS standards, they have no control over that. In fact, I'll put the definition of that up on the screen here so you can read it specifically, and also put it down there in the comments. Because you're responsible for everything on your own. You're responsible for your own product. You're responsible for your own expenses, your own taxes. So many things are your responsibility. You are not being employed by an employer. They're not handling anything for you. It's all on your own. So when you hear that term 1099, it's all on you. Now, that's maybe a chair rental situation where that would occur. In a suite rental, it would be different because you're going to be doing everything. So you're going to be collecting the money, booking the appointments. In a chair rental situation, they might have a centralized receptionist who handles those things for you. It is not a team culture. They might say, well, we're having a meeting, a team meeting. They could still call it a team meeting, but again, not being a specific employee, you're your own employer, you're your own boss. So you're not required to be at any of those, especially if you're not being paid to be at a meeting or to be mandated for those things, or if those things aren't being provided for you, that they say you have to wear a uniform or look a particular way. The pros of booth renting, chair rental, suite rental, the different terms of it, the different types of it. Number one, you get to be your own boss. It's your show. You get to do it the way that you want to do it. You get to express your own creativity. You get to do it your way. Everything about it is all on you. You get to wear whatever you want to wear. You get to paint the colors that you want to paint. Make it any color you want. You get to carry whatever brand you want. You get to do whatever you want. You get to set the hours that you want. You get to build the brand and the culture your way. You get to be alone. It's your cubby. It's your space. Well, that's not necessarily true. If it's a chair rental, you're not alone. You're still amongst other people. If you're in a suite, you're in a 120 to 160 square foot area. That's your space. That's closed off. That's for you. It's private between you and your guest. You don't have to deal with other people. You don't have to deal with cattiness. You don't have to deal with gossip. You don't have to deal with other things going on in other areas of a business. You don't have anybody to tell you what to do. You get to manage it all on your own. The cons of suite rental, booth rental, chair rental. So these are some of the things that, through either doing research or asking people, or just looking at the obvious. If you do some basic research, you see what the obvious is. Well, obviously, you've got to manage all the appointments, all the bookings. You've got to be responsible for the client flow. You got to make sure that you're getting clients, you're getting new clients. Just because you have a certain base of clients, you always have to be growing and developing new clients and having new clients come into the business, because people ultimately, the reality of it is they die, they move on, they move away from the area. So that is your responsibility. Your responsibility is confirmations, is redos, or communication with new guests. New guests have a bunch of questions. So all those conversations regarding redos, how a redo is handled, when it's booked and how it's booked, and what you charge for redos, the service around the level of redos. The maintenance, you might not have a lot of maintenance if you're renting from one of the larger corporations who are responsible for everything inside, but you've still got to manage the repair of that, and that getting done within a certain hour of the maintenance of your space or the look of your space. Buying and managing of inventory. That's a big one, especially with hair color. You could have up to 4 different color lines. Now, maybe you don't or wouldn't carry that, but you could have, you could need a spectrum of up to that number. So you might be looking at your appointment book for the next day and realize that, you need a certain type of hair color. So you got to go to the store, make sure you have that color or that range of colors. And if you don't, and the client shows up, you don't have what they need, you've either then got to reschedule or do something else. Do something that's out of it. So you're going to lose that time. If you're buying directly from the store on an ongoing basis, you've got your gas and your time to go take care of that. You're not always going to have a rep. Now, you might have a rep if you keep a large inventory. You keep up to $5,000 worth of color, maybe let's say $3,000 worth of color, to have the full spectrum covered. That's not a lot of tubes for each color, but just having all the colors in a line. Unless you're a phenomenally, extraordinarily expert colorist that can make any color out of just a few colors, you need to have a wide array of inventory for colors. All of that overhead, all that is overhead, in addition to the taxes and the responsibility of the taxes and the expense tracking that you have to keep. You've got to also match your own Social Security. So if you work in an employee-based salon, they pay the taxes, the corporation's the matching portion of taxes. As a self-employed person, you are responsible for those. So that's another 9%, 7.65%. You wouldn't pay unemployment tax, but also you wouldn't be eligible for unemployment as well. During the pandemic, I think they made some exceptions to those that were self-employed, that you could get unemployment. Although you don't pay into the pool for unemployment, you're technically not eligible for it. If you have to be off or away, you have no one else to care for or take care of your clients. Now, you might be able to set that up with a fellow suite mate or somebody else who's going to care for them, but you then risk losing them as well. So if you want to take time off, if you want to take a vacation, you could plan that. But if you have emergencies, if you have a family, if you have a child, if you have a mother that's sick or somebody in your family that's sick and you want to go take care of that, you've got to manage all of that time off and taking that time off and handling those guests in a way that how are they going to get taken care of so that they want to come back to you during your emergency. So during that emergency time, do you have the support for that? That's one of the other cons of it. Here's some other comments from some people. I don't like the loneliness of a suite. Being in a busy salon where you and your client can see and hear everything going on creates a buzz. I also don't have to talk 100% of the time. Okay. That's one person's experience of it. They like the buzz of being in a salon. They like the energy that feeds off of people. I know in our salons, there is certainly a synergistic feel to that environment. I can walk into any one of our locations and be having a really bad day, but because there's this collective energy of people who are all moving in the same direction, are all about other people around them and taking care of other people around them, that it lifts me up. It lifts the environment up. There's, now, I know there are salons that, can be catty and dramatic. And, I'm not saying that we don't have drama sometimes in our salons too, but the experience of being in a salon where there's a team of people that are working together is extraordinary. And from a creativity standpoint as well, there is also that sharing of creativity. You want to create something new. You can consult with one of your coworkers and create and collaborate and create a new look for somebody in an area that you might not be great at, but one of your coworkers is. They're going to come over and support you in that. You don't have that in the suite environment. Here's another comment. I have never rented a suite because I've been lucky enough to have such a great salon family for 10 years. If you plan on taking, If you plan on taking extended time off, let's fix that. I guess we can't. There we go. If you plan on taking extended time off, like pregnancy leave, for example, I'll be getting knee surgery, so I won't be able to work for 4 weeks. My girls at the shop are there to take care of my clientele while I'm out and keep them happy once I'm back. Heart. I don't recommend it for people who aren't booked at least a full 3 days a week or sharing it with someone, because the cost can run between $800 to $1,600 depending on demographic, location, and size. The average in our area, which is Phoenix, is usually $300 a week or for 144 square feet. So those are just a couple comments that were listed from people who listed the cons of suite rental. All right, wrapping up the pros and the cons of suite rental. Now, in this next segment, we're going to go over some of the dollar amounts or the cost associated with renting a suite. Now, this is detailed. It's got a spreadsheet in it listing out all the numbers, the products used, the different costs associated with running a business. Running a business is different than learning and growing as a stylist. They're two separate things. There's a business side of it, and there's the performance or stylist side of doing hair. So in this next segment, we'll break that down, the cost on the business side of it, what it costs, and what all the costs involved are. If you have any questions or comments or feedback about it, please let me know. I'm curious and interested in you to make sure that that you win, that you succeed in the industry. I know that the more people that do succeed, the more people that do win in our industry, the better the whole industry becomes, which in turn, our industry impacts people in a huge way. You get to touch people's lives in a way that alters the way they are in the world. You get to give them a little love that they might need in life. And when they go out in the world and leave your salon or leave your chair, they're kinder, sweeter, more generous with people. And it has a ripple effect on down the line. So I want to make sure that's happening. So if this affects you in any way, positively, negatively, or it helps you grow, or you have any comments at all about it, please share them with me so that I can continue this, expand on it, learn from you, help make this better for others. Thanks for listening. I will see you at the end of this. Thanks. Calculators online that let you do some simple math so you could see how much you would make in those circumstances. One of the examples that I'm going to use here came from up on the screen. It's JC Suites, I believe, that has you put in the amount of money that you bring in per week and what you would net based on the difference between a commission salon and a suite. So on the screen, you can see obviously a lot of numbers up here, but I created this spreadsheet, which I'll also probably, if you're interested, put a copy of it up there so you can plug in your own numbers to see what the net calculation would be for you. So in their example, the amount of money produced per week, they say to put the number in, and I took an early number of $1,200, which is right here. If you could, okay. So there we go. So this number right here, you can see that, okay, of $1,200 per week. Retail sales, of $100 per week for a total of $1,300 per week in sales. Now, I'm estimating that that's done with 24 guests at an average ticket of $54.17. Are you with me so far? This is just the amount of services that you're doing per week. If you're in this suite, you do 24 guests at an average ticket of $54.17. This is completely average numbers. I'm not taking anything from, depends on what part of the world you're in and what the cost of a haircut is, but we're just going to talk about an average of $54 for now. Okay. Then I'm going to go down and put some of the expenses. Now on their website, what they did was they put in, okay, if you brought in $1,200 for the week and you worked in a commissioned salon, what they show you on their site is that, okay, your rent is with us is going to be $300 a week. So you're going to give us $300, and guess what? You're going to be left with $900 for you. And if you were in a commissioned salon, guess what? You brought in $1,200. You're only going to have $500 or $600 to you. You're losing out on that extra money. Okay, so the difference they're going to show you is that you would be losing out on this extra money. What they don't calculate in there, which is very important for you to know, and this is information for you to have up front. Now, I know you know there are going to be costs involved. What are those costs? Well, I broke them down on this sheet here for you. So let's take a look. And we're back to what some of the costs are. Okay, you've got to, if you're in business, you're going to be taking credit cards. So to collect that amount of money, you're going to have to pay for credit card processing fees. Now on that amount of money, which is $1,300, 1 week sales, there's a cost of 2.6% of the total sales, plus 10 cents per transaction. So what that equals, if you had 24 guests and you had $1,300 in sales, that's $36.20 as a cost for that week. The cost of the product that you sold. So you sold $100 worth of product. The cost of that product is $55. Now, the cost breakdowns are over here. The cost of those products are all on this side, and I can get into that further as we go through this video, but I'm going to stick with the summary right now. The fixed costs that you have in a suite rental, they said $300 per week in the example that they gave online. So you've got to add sales tax on top of that. Sales tax in Collier County is 7%, which would make the rental per week $321. You've got a phone. You've got to have a phone. You already have one, but you definitely need one for your business, $25 a week. Your booking subscription, which is your booking service, that's how you book your appointments. And if people want to book you online or you have some type of a booking transaction system, is about $32.50 per week. Any marketing that you do, which would be business cards or promotions or any of the sort, I went conservative and said, let's just say it's $150 a month, which is $37.50 a week. Liability insurance is an insurance that you've got to carry. Some landlords or leaseholders, which would be the JC, Phoenix, or Sola, would require you to have some sort of insurance unless they are including your personal liability insurance inside of their policy, which I doubt they would. Refunds and redos. So if you had a refund, we're just saying you have one refund from the week before or one redo, which is going to take up a slot. Now you say, well, that's 1 out of 24 where you had to do their hair again and it cost you $39 for that week to redo that person. So building that into the cost. How do I know these things? Well, I'm basing these on our experience for this number of guests. So these are not completely made up false numbers. Okay, then the actual costs of supplies and other things like that, I'm going to go over those with you quickly here, but you'll be able to see that if you do 24 guests, and this CPC right here where it says CPC is cost per client. Those numbers come from over here, which we're using a Paul Mitchell tea tree shampoo on our back bar. Let's just use that as an example. So the cost of that is over here, which is the size, it says 958, which is grams. And we're going to use 20 grams per client, which is going to cost us 54 cents per guest. Now, every guest gets a shampoo. So every guest costs us 54 cents for that shampoo. So for the week, for 24 guests, it's going to cost us $13.08. Conditioner, we're using Paul Mitchell Systems Thickening Conditioner. I know that's not for everybody, but for this example, that's what we're using. We can change that out. 24, every one of our guests gets a conditioner. We're assuming in this trial. So that's 59 cents per guest or $14.26 in product usage for the week. Now, not every guest is going to get hair color. You see this hair color here? They're not all going to get hair color. But we're assuming that 50% of your business will be that they get hair color, a root retouch. So if that's the case, the cost per client is $10.93. You say, well, that's a lot of money. Well, that's how much a tube of Wella KP with 20 volume, that doesn't include the developer, that's just the tube of color, including shipping. Now you say, well, I could buy in volume and get a better deal. Well, maybe you can, but we're assuming that you're not at that level yet where you're buying $1,000 a week in hair color where they're going to give you that kind of a discount. Because if you're just going to Cosmoprof or Salon Centric, you're going to pay, even with your license in hand, you're going to pay full price. Maybe not off the street price because they call it a professional price, but you're going to pay the premium dollar, not as a salon that's buying a volume of $100,000 a year. So it's $10.93 per client that gets hair color. Let's assume you do 12 of those. That's $131.21 for your color cost for those 12 guests. For your developer, you've got 97 cents per client for the developer for those 12 root retouches. That's $11.68 for the week. And 6 of your guests get foils. Now, it might be foils and a retouch or just straight foils, but 6 of your guests are getting foils. Well, how much does that cost? I just realized there's not the cost of the bleach is not on here, but we can add that in later. That's one more cost to make this cost go up more. So the foil itself is going to cost you $1.26 for 6 guests at 25 foils per guest, which is $7.68 for the week. You've got to use cotton, 69 cents, 10, 12 cents each per guest, $4.14. 69 cents per client for the cotton, $4.14 for the week. Stain remover, if you've got to take stain off, if you're doing a dark hair color on somebody, you've got to do the stain remover on them. That's 92 cents per application of the stain remover. Well, amenities, here we are. Well, you want to be able to serve coffee in the morning. And what's the way that you could do that without a running machine in there? The most popular right now is a Keurig machine. And if you have a Keurig machine, you have the little pods, and the little pods are 84 cents each. So maybe you can get them cheaper. Go ahead and do that. I'm using what I pulled right off the internet for now from Amazon. So if 12 of your clients that come in during that week come in the mornings, and 12 of them drink coffee, or maybe most of them come in the morning, but 12 throughout the whole week have coffee. 12 of your 24. That's 84 cents per. That's $10.09 for the week in coffee. You've got to have 12 disposable cups. Those are 33 cents each. That's $3.92 for cups. If they have sugar, if they have stevia, the cost for those 2 items to put in their coffee. If 3 people or 6 people have those, that's what it's going to cost you. On down the line, you can see how I've done these calculations here. If you are serving bottles of water, those are 24 cents each. So you have 12 guests who get a bottle of water. That's $2.94 a week. And for those really, really special clients, you want to have one of those little bottles of Prosecco. Those are $7.05. So you're only giving that to your very special top 2 guests of the week. That would be $16.92 for the week. Now, you've got to use gloves when you do your root retouch. Now, maybe you're very, very resourceful and you reuse your gloves all the time. I would recommend that, but that's not usually how it goes. Especially in COVID times, you're going to be using a fresh set of gloves with every guest, in most cases. So let's say you use 14 sets of gloves for the week at 24 cents per pair. That's $3.39 in gloves per week. Then there are some variable numbers down here which are not included in the overall number, and that is your cleaning time. So after every guest, you're going to be taking 10 minutes of prep cleaning time. So you're going to clean up after that guest. You're going to wash your color bowl, sweep up the hair, throw away the trash, get the salon ready again. So we're counting 10 minutes per guest, a minimum total of 4 hours per week that you're on prep time, cleanup time, post-guest cleanup time. Inventory time. So you've got to take inventory, count inventory, and do inventory a minimum of 2 hours per week. Accounting time. So at the end of the day, you've got to close the drawer out or account for the amount of money you had that came in. And if you had cash or check or other forms of payment, that's got to be taken to the bank, but you have to account for the amount of money you brought in versus the services that you provided. And we're saying that that's maybe 30 minutes a day, a total of 2 hours per week. Now you can see there's some costs, some dollar amount that we've applied to those, but you could say, well, I'm not applying any, that's my time anyway. I'm not going to apply any money to that time anyway. So we could always back that number out of there. So the total expenses for the week of $823.39. Now that's before you've paid yourself. That's before you've given yourself any money at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch that out for the entire month. So in this column over here, you can see that these are the grand totals for the entire month. So it's, 4 times 4 of whatever this column is here. So the total expenses for the whole month are $3,293.57. Is this one right here. Okay, you can see that. Make that a little bit bigger for you. 3,290. Okay, the total sales for the month, which is up here, is $5,200. And you did 96 guests at an average ticket of $54.17. So if you are going to pay yourself with the difference of that, you've got another number to match. So when you work in an employee-based salon, the employer, the owner of the business who employs you as a W-2 employee is responsible for the other portion of taxes, which are your matching FICA and Medicare and your unemployment tax. So 7.65% is 6.12 plus 1.65 is 7.65%. I think those are the two numbers because one goes to Medicare and one goes to Social Security. You've got to pay those on your own, and then your employer has to match those. Well, since in this case, you are the employer, you pay both of those numbers, which is 7.65 plus 7.65%. So you're paying the total amount. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what happens in this case. So the 7.65, 8.65, because that counts the unemployment tax, depends on what state you're in, equals $284.89. So you're going to pay a tax amount of $284.89. So your gross profit is going to be $1,906.43 for that month. Let's see here. Per hour paid, that's a number that we don't know the number of hours yet. I think I was basing that on 32. So $1,900.06 and $1,906.43. Now, if you were in a commission salon at 45%, if you were in a commission salon being paid 45%, you would have been paid $2,100, $2,160. So there's a breakdown of some of the costs. Now, obviously, so many of the costs are not even calculated in there because when you're in an employee-based salon, you go home when you go home at whatever time that is, and you don't have to worry about if you have enough cups in the salon, if you have enough hair color in the salon, if you're going to be able to do the corrective color you have on the appointment book the next day because you are on your own. You can't watch the YouTube video to see, of course you can with your guest right there, but in a salon culture where you are surrounded by other stylists, of course you have the support of those other stylists to assist you through those other, those challenging services. Okay, I'm going to take a pause for a moment. That's just a general overview of what it actually would cost you in a salon suite. So that's breaking everything down from the shampoo to the hair color, each of the individual costs. And that is all for you to manage. Unless you're hiring somebody to manage that for you, which we didn't add any cost in there for that, but those are some of the additional costs that you're going to have to incur. None of those costs show up on that calculator that they show you online that says, how much are you really not making because you're working in a salon that's paying you only so much commission? Well, where's all that money going? Is the owner getting rich off you and you're going broke? Well, you can see where some of those costs go, a large portion of them. Now, I'm not saying that's not for you. Some of you can manage both sides of that. Your right brain, left brain. You have this creative side of you that is fully self-expressed in hair, and yet you're really good with math, and you're really good with numbers and inventory and accounting, and that side comes to you very naturally so that you can balance both sides of this. But one of the reasons why most of you got into this business was to have that freedom to create, that freedom to express yourself in this great career of hair. And when you've got to manage both sides, it creates new challenges for you. You're not as free when you're worried about, do I have enough 6N? Do I have enough product that I'm going to need? Did I order coffee? Do I have cups? What if I want to take a day off? Where are my clients going to go? There are many other questions and things that need to be answered that need to get set up in a structure like this, which for some of you would work, just fine. But if you're not educated on all these things to know before you get in and invest a lot or go in, you might be just getting right out of school and you're not ready. You're not ready to go to clients all on your own with no guidance at all. Another question that comes up, something we'll talk about more in the next segment. Hey, you made it all the way. I hope you got some real value out of that. If you're ever in the area, please make sure you stop in the salons. Come spend some time with us in the salon. You're welcome to come shadow for the day. Come get a free blowout. Come have a cappuccino, an espresso, a little Prosecco, Pinot Grigio. Come and hang out. We'd love to have you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. If there's anything else that we can support you with, please let us know. We have an incredible team of people that really have hearts of teachers. They love to share. We're a teaching salon, a teaching organization. We're also a big part of the community. We like to make a difference in the community that we're in because we're very blessed to live in an incredible part of the world. And we have a lot of wonderful people in our community that we're honored to be with and to be a part of. And now you're one of those. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. I look forward to meeting you and see you on the next video, or hopefully see you in person next time. Thanks. Bye.